You are listening to the New Book of Daniel podcast. What happens when America's political left can't find a viable Democrat candidate, knows it can't win against the popular Republican president, and the strategy then becomes, well, give voters a reason to dislike the current president? Well, then, when a viral pandemic emerges on the scene, it's a perfect gift for the leftists. We'll be discussing what I call the left's scorched earth war against Trump on today's New Book of Daniel podcast. Hello and welcome to the New Book of Daniel podcast. My name is Daniel Bobinski and I'll be your host on this adventure. Today's topic is going to be the left's scorched earth war against President Trump. It's based on a column that I did for uncoverdc.com, and I'm going to get right to that after a couple of brief comments. First, our show is sponsored by Ty Daniels of the Lift Realty Group in Northern Idaho. So after you get out of lockdown in the state that you're in, if you want to move to a more conservative state or maybe just buy a vacation home, Ty's Lift Realty Group up in Northern Idaho, it's the place to go. Northern Idaho is absolutely beautiful. Give Ty a call at 208-640-6333. That's 208-640-6333. Ty listens to the show. He's got values very similar to mine. So if you like what you're hearing from me and the values that I espouse, Ty is the same kind of guy. You'll appreciate doing business with somebody who really cares. Ty is your guy at the Lift Realty Group. So I also need to say, please subscribe to the podcast. Do that by clicking that red button. If you're watching this on YouTube, click that red button down below, then click the bell, and then click the word all. That way you get notified when I upload new podcasts, because I don't do them on a regular basis, at least yet. So there you go. So this left, let's jump right into this. This left scorched earth war against President Trump. I'm gonna kind of review this column here. I'm gonna take you back to Hong Kong a couple months ago. I'm gonna guess you probably remember hundreds of thousands of people in Hong Kong flooding the streets, protesting the Chinese government for their basically lying. They had gone against what they said they were going to do, and Hong Kong had been a free a British colony there for a long time, up until 1997. I've been to Hong Kong like 3 times. Really cool city. I loved the city. Very free, and it had its own freedom, and the population there had its freedom. Well, then in 1997, that got transferred back to China, and China said, yes, well, for the next 50 years, you guys can continue operating, but we're going to be your boss now instead of England. Well, now China's reneging on that here 23 years later. And so the people were protesting, and they're waving American flags, and they're singing our national anthem, and they're calling on President Trump's administration to help save them from the Chinese overreach. It was kind of a public relations nightmare. I mean, they had Chinese police blasting tear gas into the crowds. They had police just storming subways, arresting people, scaring people like crazy, and spraying them down with mace, and arresting people and even shooting people. I mean, this stuff was going around the world the speed of Facebook videos and the speed of YouTube videos. You can see what was going on there. It was a public relations nightmare for Hong Kong. The Chinese government did not have a good way to save face. Keep that in mind as to why maybe, and I'm not making accusations, but plausible question. Could it be that this virus got out because it was a way for Chinese government, the Chinese Communist Party, to save face? It's a question that ought to be looked into. Let's also remember that China wasn't the only place. Hong Kong was not the only place. We also saw, and I was amazed to see people rising up in protests, pro-Trump rallies in France, pro-Trump rallies in, I think, England. We saw over in Iran, where they have painted on this university walkway, I think like 30, 40 feet wide, they had painted a huge Israeli flag and a huge American flag. And normally the kids would just be walking over it. And it was a way for the government or the university to force kids to walk on our flags to show disrespect. And the students had realized that the Iranian government were the bad people and the US was actually trying to help them. And they were purposely not walking on the flag. There's like a 3 foot, 4 foot, whatever area on each side of the flag. And the kids were purposely not walking on the flag, walking on little sidewalks is what they were doing, the sidewalkways. So anyways, this huge movement of populism was coming up all over the world, people being very pro-American. And if you think about this from a globalist perspective, if you're a globalist, that doesn't look good, right? It doesn't bode well. There was kind of a euphoria, so much winning, so to speak. So now you have, let me take you to the contrast of that between Trump's so much winning and Obama, because Obama was kind of famous for his apology tours, embarrassingly so. But Trump was really getting famous for his patriotic rallies. I mean, you have 10,000s of people lining up to see him speak. And if they couldn't get in, there was literally tens of thousands of people outside the venues watching him speak on a big jumbotron. And he had a big, long list of accomplishments. I mean, I'm gonna go down a few of them here. I linked to these off of the whitehouse.gov that was posted on December 31st, kind of an end-year celebration of Trump's accomplishment. But it's a long list, but let me just give you a few just by way of reminder. More than 7 million jobs added to the economy. Lowest unemployment in half a century. Unemployment rates for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, veterans, individuals with disabilities, and those without a high school diploma, all at record lows. Median household income at the highest level on record. Middle class and low class workers having faster wage growth than their high earners on the percentage wise. 4 million Americans lifted out of poverty. Small business optimism at historic highs. The Dow, the S&P, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, all at record highs. And that's just the highlights. The list on that website is really long. I linked to it on the article. You can go take a look for yourself. But it's not there anymore, right? I mean, the accomplishments aren't there because they've been wiped out. But that was part of the plan here. This is part of in my opinion, part of the scorched earth war against Trump. It was quite embarrassing for the left. You even had leftists writing articles saying the Democrat Party's campaign to reelect Donald Trump. Left-wing journalists talking about how the left was shooting themselves in the foot as they tried to get rid of Donald Trump. I mean, you had all those wins I just described. You had the Kavanaugh thing for the Supreme Court. They tried blasting Trump that way. And I don't know Kavanaugh's background, and I didn't come to his big defense. I kind of sat back and watched that, but it was amazing to see how the leftists were just like sharks, like piranhas, just trying to prevent him from getting into the Supreme Court. No matter what kind of mud they threw at Trump, it just wasn't sticking. They used to call Ronald Reagan the Teflon president. Those old enough to remember Reagan, that was his nickname. I think Trump is much more Teflon than Reagan was ever Teflon, because nothing sticks to this guy, right? So I'm thinking the political left, and not just in America, but in the world, was not very happy with the idea of a Biden presidency. He just wasn't going to be able to win. So let's go back, by the way, even more and just talk about this setup. Just before the midterms, Bill Maher hosts Real Time on HBO. And I linked to a video clip of Bill Maher saying that he hoped the economy would crash so that Trump would get voted out of office. There's a Newsweek article and the video is linked there. And Bill Maher says, and I quote, I feel like and he's talking about how good the American economy is. This is back in 2018. I feel the bottom has to fall out at some point. And by the way, I'm hoping for it. Because I think one of the ways you get rid of Trump is a crashing economy. So please bring on the recession. Sorry if that hurts people, but it's either root for a recession or you lose your democracy. I kind of want to look at Bill right now and say, you happy? You happy, Bill? Have you noticed that Bill's been off the air, by the way? As soon as this shutdown was called, Bill put his show on hiatus. I personally hope the man's show never comes back on the air. I hope that crowds, if he were to come back on the air, I hope that crowds fill his audience and do nothing but boo him for his economy, or better yet, don't fill his audience, that he has nobody paying to come see him. I hope all of the advertisers leave. I hope everybody leaves, and that he just doesn't have a show anymore. Because he wished this, what we're experiencing right now, he wished this on the American people. You happy now, Bill? And all of you people who laughed when Bill said that, are you happy now? Just think about it, because what's his purpose in all of this? Make President Trump look bad. Look at all the economic successes Trump had, and now they're all erased, right? Why? Because we got this little virus that shows up. Amazing how it worked in Hong Kong, right? All those protesters suddenly evaporated off the streets as soon as they had this virus show up. Well, all of Trump's accomplishments suddenly got evaporated off the scoreboard as soon as this virus showed up. They finally found some traction. The left finally, after no success with the Russia hoax, after no success with Kavanaugh, after no success with impeachment, it was embarrassing. No success trying to find a presidential candidate, a viable candidate that can beat Trump, and they know that. They finally found some traction, and they're not going to let this go. It's kind of like a virus-infected drop of blood in the water, and the sharks just circle, right? I also link in the article to something that Rahm Emmanuel said. For those of you who don't remember, Rahm Emmanuel was President Obama's chief of staff, who then resigned and went to become the mayor of Chicago. But I've got video of Rahm Emmanuel early on when he was with President Obama saying, quote,
"You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. You take advantage of a crisis and you manipulate the situation to get what you want, because then when the crisis passes, now you get what you want. People acquiesce to whatever you want because of their fear in the crisis. That's exactly what happened during 9/11. We had 9/11 happen. A month later, we got this Patriot Act sitting on Congress's desk, and everybody's pushing to get this thing voted on. And by the way, I personally think that was sitting in somebody's drawer as a solution waiting for a problem, because you don't put together that much legislation in that short a time. And Ron Paul did not vote for it. And I remember him being interviewed, and he said, somebody asked me, how come you didn't vote for the Patriot Act? He goes, because I actually read it. And Ron Paul, a true patriot, knew that it was taking away our rights, our liberties. So we lost a lot of liberties after 9/11 with the, quote, Patriot Act. But it's very patriotic, so we have to sign it, right? Oh, push it through. Well, we've been 20 years down the road, and we've been kind of now acquiesced to the fact that we lost those liberties. We've kind of moved one more step down the road of liberties lost. So now we got this COVID-19 virus, this shutdown of America, and I think the left is just pushing and pushing and pushing and trying to take away more of our liberties. Look at the same stuff that we just had happen with this proposal for a relief package, a stimulus package, which, by the way, I think, A, was unconstitutional, and I will address that in an upcoming podcast relatively soon. It was an unconstitutional package, but it was pushed through by everybody in the Senate voted for it at first, but then Nancy Pelosi comes by and says, no, no. And then Chuck Schumer goes, oh, sorry. And I think Nancy has his leash around his whatever part of his body, maybe his neck. And Schumer says no, and suddenly all the Democrats in the Senate who said yes suddenly say no. Oh, okay, well, the boss has spoken. So I guess I don't represent my state. I don't stand for what I believe in. I have to do what Chuck Schumer says. So much for representation to the state, because now it's Chuck Schumer runs the people in the Senate, not the senators representing their own states. Did you catch that? So anyway, Pelosi rides into town, and whammo, she pulls out of her drawer some 888-page package with all sorts of pork in it. So much pork, I can't believe Ilhan Omar can walk into Congress anymore. It's unbelievable, the extra stuff that was stuffed into this package inside of a 24 to 48 hour period. Nobody writes it in that short of a time. That was a solution waiting for a problem. And yet it was forced upon us. Rush, rush, rush. We had one patriot say, wait a minute, I want a voice vote. I don't want a voice vote. I want a roll call vote. And he was casting it. And even Trump, and I'm very disappointed in Trump, but Trump was damned if he did, damned if he didn't. Damned if he did, damned if he didn't, because you had Art Laffer, who was Reagan's economist, saying, no, don't go with the stimulus. Instead, wait and to take away all employment taxes. That's going to incentivize people to go back to work after this, and they'll rush back to work because they're going to get their whole paycheck instead of getting their paycheck taxes taken out, and they'll want to go back to work, and that's what's going to restore the economy. But Trump didn't listen to that, and I'm very disappointed in Trump. Trump listens to the leftist and whoever else was saying, well, we need to give the people the money. And I don't know where Trump's loyalties lie there, but I think he made a really bad move. And yeah, I'm calling him out on it. Sorry if you're a 100% Trump guy, but I think he made a really bad move, because now you're going to get people doing just what the leftists want, relying more on the government for their income, for their needs. It's like, come to the government, here's our national teat, you can have all the milk and honey you want, just come to us. And they take away all of Trump's running points, his campaign points, and his bragging rights, because now they say, well, you know, you need us, because if we did it Trump's way, you would have starved, but because you have the government support net here, now you can come to us. And people go, oh, and there's going to be votes that go that way because of that. So I think Trump really stepped in it, really made a mistake, and I think he's making a bigger mistake with this even bigger package. We do not have this money. Let me repeat that. We do not have this money. It's something else I've been upset with Trump about. When he assumed office, Obama had run up the national debt to $20 trillion. When Obama assumed office, it was roughly 10 trillion. When he left office, it was roughly 20 trillion. So added $10 trillion. And I am really upset, surprised and shocked that Trump didn't do anything about that. Yes, he was cutting regulations. Glad for that. But he wasn't cutting our debt. And now we've got trillions and trillions more loaded on to our progeny. We've got people who are going to have to pay for this some point down the road. Bad move, Trump. Bad move. Anyways. All that to say, now we're going to be reliant on the government. And that's exactly what the lefts want. They don't care about us being in pain. Like I said, two of my friends got laid off today. No money. These are both single people, single wage earning families. They making good money with kids at home. Mom stays at home, homeschools the kids. Now suddenly, bam, no income. They got to go apply for unemployment. This is devastating families, right? But the left doesn't care. I really believe the left doesn't care. It's all about flatten the curve. Now that was fine, right? Flatten the curve. Now we're just afraid when somebody says, oh, he got the virus. It's like, people are going to get the virus. The whole idea was to flatten the curve and stretch out the rate at which people got the virus. That's the whole idea behind flatten the curve. It's not erase the curve. It's push down the curve so that we extend this pain out, right? So we're living the pain. How about that? By slowing it down or flattening it, you're not going to decrease the total number of cases. We're just going to postpone many cases. And I'm quoting Larry Brilliant, epidemiologist, the same guy who helped eradicate smallpox. By slowing down the rate, by flattening the curve, you don't decrease the total number of cases. You simply postpone the cases. That is linked in the article. Pull it down and read it for yourself, right? So we got probably somewhere between 3 and 30 million people now applying for unemployment. All gone. All Trump's bragging rights are gone. Like I said, there's probably more pork sitting, just laying around in the aisles of the House of Representatives. I don't think Ilhan Omar nor Tlaib is going to be able to walk around in there. So why am I saying that I think that the left can do this. Why am I saying that I believe the left wants to inflict pain? Because they've done it before. I was around when Reagan was president. I was around when Bill Clinton was president. And when Bill Clinton and the Republican House had a little difference of opinion and the government shut down, it was no big deal. People went home, they didn't get paid, then they came back. 2013, when Obama was the president, there was a government shutdown. Letting people just go home was not Obama's way. Just like Rahm Emmanuel said, you don't let a good crisis go to waste. So what did they do? They closed off national parks. You couldn't go to a national park, even though you don't need a ranger there. You can go camp there, whatever. They said, nope, you can't go. People were even volunteering to go to parks and clean up. They're bringing their own garbage bags. They're cleaning up trash. They're picking up, it's taking responsibility for our country's parks. And then a park ranger rolls up and says, sorry, you can't do that. You need to leave the park right now. Park's closed. Well, there's nobody here. We're not camping. We're just cleaning. You can't do that. Why not? You're not certified to clean. It's like you have to be certified to pick up trash. You're not insured to pick up trash. Like this is absolute asinine bullpucky. So now I'm going to go to this World War II memorial in Washington, D.C. Paid for with private funds, supported by private funds. There's no gate. There's no entry fee. There's no way to stop. You just walk right on 24/7, 365, visit this World War II memorial. It was not paid for by government funds. What does Obama do? He brings people off of furlough and they go and they rent barrier, like you see like at a horse corral or a big event, and they put up these big gates, these big metal gates, and they tie them all together and they close off this World War II memorial. You can't go visit it because the government's shut down. In essence, Obama's guys closed off and shut down what wasn't theirs to shut down. It belongs to the trust that paid for it and that pays to maintain it. But Obama wanted to inflict pain on people. He wanted us to be inconvenienced because of this government shutdown. Thankfully, by the way, a group of World War II vets who'd shown up to visit the memorial said, to heck with this, and tore it down. They broke through. These are vets after all. So they're not going to put up a little wimpy Mom Jeans, Barry Soetoro, Obama, whatever his name was. They're not going to put up with his bullpucky. Something else I write about in this article is that the media is very complicit in all of this. If you've watched any of the press releases, the press conferences happening and that Trump's doing every day, these people from the DC media, they're playing gotcha questions. These aren't curious questions to report to the people. They're saying, well, you said this, and it's all trying to set him up to be gotcha, 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 gotcha. It's like, who the heck plays gotcha politics in a time of crisis like this, unless you're trying to make Trump look bad? He's trying to offer hope to people in this time of crisis, and you got reporters sitting there going, how can you be offering hope when this? How can you be offering hope when that? It's like, would you not want to offer people hope? Have you seen the stats of what happens to people during recessions? Go back to the 2008 to 2010, 2011 recession. Look up The Lancet, do a research article on The Lancet for suicides during recession. And for the people on the left coast out there, for Western Libtardia, there's actually a graph, so you don't even have to read the words, with color. And you can see the increased number of suicides that occur during a time of recession. So why wouldn't we want to offer some hope? Media, you guys are like piranhas who just want to attack Trump. It's a war to you. You don't care if people commit suicide. You don't care if people's businesses go bankrupt. You don't care if people lose their homes. You don't care if people get divorced. You really don't. Just go to your buddy Bill Maher, right? Sorry if it hurts, but we got to get rid of Trump. So you got the media asking those questions. You got the media also writing articles saying that Trump wasn't successful because the stock market crashed. Or you got Joe Biden is saying that he can be a better president in this. I mean, you can read the articles. They're out there just trying to show how Joe Biden's going to handle the job better than Trump will. Trump stumbling, Trump inability to do this, Trump this, Trump that. They're just painting him to be bad. That's all they want to do. Bad, bad, bad. I want to read for you one of my friends who is, she's one of these stay-at-home moms. She posted something on Facebook that caught my eye. She said, now I'm going to read this to you. Tried to watch the news, which we almost never watch. NBC News, for shame. You used to be a reliable source of balanced perspective. How can anyone trust you when you turn even good news into political drama? They're turning the news into a complete brainwash of political crap. They should be ashamed. No wonder people are panicking. No wonder folks are hoarding. They basically apologized for Trump's speech, saying he didn't talk about anything anybody wanted to hear. So then they went on to criticize him instead of reporting what he actually said. I wish they would just actually do their job and report the news. This is a friend of mine who said she normally gets her news from internet stuff people post on Facebook. She decided for herself to go watch NBC and watch it for herself. And she was aghast at how horrible it was. So I just say, you know what? This will pass. Maybe not as fast as we'd like, hopefully faster than we'd like. But either case, it's going to pass. And the Hong Kong Free Press has already reported that when they can go back on the streets, the protesters in Hong Kong are going to return. And when we can come out of our shell here in this country and restart our economy, I think the exact same policies that Trump had in place will cause our economy to kick back in. It's not going to be as fast as we would like because businesses are going to close. You can watch a previous video, a previous podcast I did with Anna Timmer. And she was telling me that in the state of Michigan, the Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association put out a press release that said, even if they came back today, and that was a couple days ago, 10% of restaurants would not reopen. 10%. And if this lasts until the end of April, it's quite possible that 30% of the restaurants will not reopen. Are you happy, Bill Maher? Are you happy, Rahm Emmanuel? Are you happy, left-wing media? Are you happy, Nancy Pelosi, that you're destroying so many lives with this unnecessary bullpucky? It didn't have to be this way. It didn't. Go to any internet server and look up Sweden and how Sweden is handling the crisis. The Prime Minister of Sweden came out and said, you know what, we just need to be adults. We need to be responsible. If we're going to be adults, we need to carry a heavy responsibility. And he implored his people to be responsible adults. Apparently, our government pushed Trump into thinking that we are not responsible adults. 38 states at last count have shelter-in-home, shelter-in-place orders. I just saw an article today where a teenage girl was cited with a $200 fine because she went out for a drive because she wasn't following her governor's stay-at-home order. If you ask me, that is 100% police state. If I just can't get in my car and drive around, not coughing on anybody, not even spreading any germs across the sidewalk, just driving around just to get out of my house, and I can't do that, I'm going to get a $200 fine just for doing that. That's a police state. I hope you're proud, Bill Maher. Hope you're proud, Chuck Schumer. Hope you're proud, Nancy Pelosi. Hope you're proud, Dr. Fauci, because I'm losing rapidly losing respect for you. You brag that you've been in that place for 32 years and 5 administrations. I think when you translate that into English, we get deep state /swamp. 32 years in your department through 5 administrations translates in English to deep state/swamp. I think you've been giving the president some pretty bad advice, and I think our president's been following your bad advice. And I think our president needs additional advisors. So with that, I'm going to close. I'm going to say this is not going to last forever. Stay above water. And I'll say, read your Bible. Hey, you know what? If you don't want to read your Bible, there's all sorts of cool stuff on YouTube. You can go watch The Life of the Apostle Paul. That is a powerful series of videos. Find out what really happened, kind of acted out in a very powerful way. But you can see what our world is going to in the end of the book, right? I read to the end of the book. We win. So with that, if you'd like to get a hold of me with anything, any questions, concerns, you can contact me at newbookofdaniel@outlook.com. And by the way, I am collecting stories on anything police state. So if you see anything in your newspaper or your feed or on videos of police state in America as a result of this quote unquote crackdown, please send me the link. I'd like to, or the article in some way. You can do that at newbookofdaniel@outlook.com. On Twitter, you can reach me at newbookofdaniel, and my DMs are unlocked, they're open, so anybody can DM me there. You can also reach me on Facebook at facebook.com/newbookofdaniel. And you can read this column that I just reviewed and all my columns on political things at uncoverdc.com. uncoverdc.com. You have been listening to the New Book of Daniel podcast. My name is Daniel Bobinski. Keep your head up, and we'll see you on the next show.